Welcome to episode 24
of
the Too Bad We Should Have Gotten Into Cars podcast. I'm your co-host, David Kapusha Snars.
I am David, co-host, Nick Scarpinato, and this right here
Scarpinado
is
Sharknado.
This right here
Sharknado
is
Nick Scarpinado.
a 2005. You have to ignore him, otherwise he's just gonna keep going on and on. He does this when he's hungry. He just wants to get attention.
Hunger.
So we feed him. This
Boom.
is a 2005 Volkswagen Golf 5 or Golf V. What?
I'm just imitating fucking grinders and boomers now.
Yeah, where
grind?
Where were all the Gears of War fans during the OK Boomer meme? Huh? Where were you? Where were you? You missed an opportunity to make a crossover joke, and now everything's just it's so fucked up. Fucked up what you did.
You done goofed.
I was trying to do a Tim Robinson from I Think You Should Leave, but I didn't do it super well. Has anyone ever? No, I can't remember any lines from that one skit that I showed you where he's on the ghost tour and the tour guide is like, "All right, this is the adult tour, so you might hear things that are a little scandalous, that are a little, you know."
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, he was like, Has anyone ever fucking jizzed all over the walls and like shit themselves? And he's like, what? You said this is the adult tour. You said I could say whatever I want. Now I feel like you're censoring me. It's not fair. And then everyone just kicks him out. It's a great bit.
Great bit. He's a great bit.
He's a great bit. This is the either the last episode of January. No, it's going to be the first episode of February. Welcome to February, y'all. February in the Midwest is probably the worst time of the year. I frickin' hate February in Illinois.
Dude, this is when winter actually starts.
This is when winter actually starts. No one actually considers December to be the beginning of winter, because that's the beginning of Christmas. And then you get into January and you have the beginning of 2023, so you're feeling optimistic. You don't even care that it's snowing a lot because, you know, it's
it snows a little, but like I swear everything just saves for February and it just dumps everything. Yeah. I swear.
Yeah, I swear. It's the worst time of the year. So any February fans out there, you
it's
can just...
the most heinous time of the year.
You know the word anus isn't heinous, right?
Heinous.
Yeah, February is ass. It's terrible. It sucks. Sorry, I didn't mean to get so angry this morning. I didn't think there would be a February rant in episode 24. But I guess I haven't checked that off of my list yet. My podcast list that I keep with me at all times. Just things that I want to talk about in the next episode. I write them down with a feather, quill, you know, pen, ink, quill and ink, Krillin ink, Krillin, like the
Krillin.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what Frieza used to write all of his letters after he exploded Krillin in the Frieza saga. Sorry, spoilers for Dragon Ball Z, by the way. Yeah, he would just dip his tail in like Krillin's blood and then like write out letters saying "Dear Father," you know, to King Cold.
Dude, I think you're crazy.
This is the first time I'm speaking all day. So
it's true what they say about shaved heads. They're always the craziest.
Yeah. Do you know how many Nazis have shaved their heads?
Every fucking buckshot.
Yeah.
Like a crazy guy, just a shaved head.
It's so the tinfoil hats fit on a little easier. That's why. So, with that all out of my system, have you had a good week, pal? If you had a good, decent week, how's work going?
Non-existent. They canceled another one of my shifts on Wednesday.
Did you only work? Were you only supposed to work one day a week, or that week?
Well, 3, but I only work 2.
Ah.
Yeah, I've just been cranking out these albums. I'm happy to hear I heard 7 yesterday.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
ludicrous.
So you're
Making
doing
good progress.
on your channel, DK Media Music, by the way, because DK Media is already taken.
Come check me out. 1,000 subs. Here we go.
Right now, you are doing your Rank Your Albums 3 video, which is a series of videos where you take suggestions from your subscribers and they comment albums from artists that they want you to hear, and then after you hear all of them, you rank them, and you make a lot of people upset. So that's the general idea of the video, right?
I make about 6-7 people upset.
I'm one of them. No, I'm kidding. I figure the albums that I recommend to you, because a lot of the albums and artists that we have in common that we enjoy, we've already listened to. So at this point, the albums that I'm recommending you are either albums that I really like that I also want you to hear, or albums that I've heard that I think you would like, but there's no guarantee that
everyone seems to have a different goal. Like, some people just want to give me some weird shit.
Yeah.
Some people want to give me their favorite albums, which a couple have done. Some people just want to give me. Some people want to win, maybe, and they want to get to number 1.
Yeah. Well,
and some people, because I heard an album where the band only has 1 record, so it's like, well, okay, well, I mean, I can't rank them because they have 1 album with 5 songs. So it's like,
yeah,
they just want to give me an album. They don't care about like getting in first place, you know.
Well, so what is first place win? What are the first place winners? What do they get?
I listen to all of them and they get their own rank.
So the artist,
and then some jokers want to give me like Frank Zappa, you know, who have like 80 goddamn albums.
Yeah. Same with Elvis Costello.
But between you and me, there's no chance they'd win anyway because I'm not fucking ranking more than 20 albums. It's not fucking happening.
Have you listened to the Frank Zappa album?
I have not yet.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it blows you out of the water. Maybe it...
But yeah, I heard... Yeah, one of the albums I heard yesterday, the group has about 60 albums or so. And it's like, no. Absolutely not.
No matter how good that album is, that one album or that one artist, there's no way it's ever going to happen.
Yeah, I'll find someone with less albums and bump them up a notch.
Yeah. That's fair too. That works. Well, best of luck in the rest of your album listening experience. And I hope I win. But I have a feeling I won't, which is totally fine.
I'm sorry, Nick.
You don't have to apologize to me. You don't have to apologize.
You got outdone.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, I think I know what number 1 is, and I'm only halfway done.
I think I know what your number 1 is too, because we briefly talked about the albums that you had on the list like a week ago. So I have kind of a good idea of what it might be. But anyway, no spoilers here. If you want to see the video, check it out on David's music channel in 2 weeks or something by the end of February.
Be at least by the end of February.
Yeah, so maybe give it a little bit of time. Let him cook, as the kids say.
37 albums, bro. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, you did 7 yesterday. 30 more to go, or less than that.
Like 18 more to go.
Yeah, halfway done. Speaking of albums, we are talking today about another one of your videos where you ranked your top 10 albums of all time. But we're not talking about your top 10. If anyone's interested in seeing that, they're also on David's channel. But
yeah, it was kind of like a hybrid between favorite and like desert island albums, you know?
Yeah. Like if you had... I think that's how you should rank favorite of anything, honestly, is if you could never watch any other movies or listen to any other albums, what are the 10 that you would want to listen to for the rest of your life,
Yeah, because I could just flood half of it with Trivium albums, but I was like, let's not do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you are on a desert island, I mean, imagine if you could only listen to Trivium. I mean, it would make the island experience a lot more angrier, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today we're talking about your honorable mentions, a.k.a. the albums that didn't make the cut but came pretty close. And I'm very excited to hear those. I'm very excited to hear your honorable mentions. But before that, we are talking about a movie that we saw together maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago that we haven't been able to discuss because we had other things that we had to talk about. The sequel to the 2011 DreamWorks animated picture Puss in Boots. The movie that we saw is the new movie from DreamWorks, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And I don't know about you, but I have not been able to stop thinking about this movie since we saw it. So I have a lot to say, and I'm very excited
I stopped thinking about it.
Okay, well, that's...
Because my mind went right to, I got to listen to these albums now.
Yeah. So now we're going to have to reopen that part of our brains and talk about the movie. And then finally, we're going to end with a series of games that I have never played because...
I just spent 50 hours beating Mass Effect, the trilogy.
Which
isn't that long, to be honest, for 3 games.
Yeah, 50 hours. I feel like the average for most games now is like 24 or 25.
Considering Persona took 80?
Yeah, if you can beat Persona...
Jesus Christ, what a stupid amount of time.
I also think Breath of the Wild, if you choose to do everything, takes a similar amount of time. Right? Maybe?
Yeah, but I didn't do everything.
In Persona?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
I mean, yeah, if you want to find all 900 Korok seeds, it might take a couple of light years, but...
I'm not going to do that.
No, light years is distance, not time.
And Lightyear is a movie, not a person.
And year is an amount of time.
And the letter Y is sometimes a vowel, but sometimes it's not. Where are you going to go next?
Nice. And a letter is part of the alphabet.
No, it's something that you write it's like a text before phones were invented. Dumbass.
Look at this note. But turn it around. There's a letter. You're right. It's another SpongeBob joke. God, what?
We haven't talked about SpongeBob yet, but we're sitting on it.
No, have we not talked about SpongeBob like as itself?
No, we haven't talked about SpongeBob. We haven't had a SpongeBob
Okay,
episode
fuck
yet.
Puss in Boots. We're talking about SpongeBob today.
No! Come on, man. Let's just get this out of the way. And then we'll save SpongeBob for a rainy day because we can talk about SpongeBob any day of the week.
Fine, we'll talk about vulva in boots. All right.
God damn. Relax. Kids listen to this podcast.
Hey, get the fuck out of here, kids.
I hope not. I hope they don't listen.
This is not YouTube for kids.
Yeah, we just complained about
monstrosity.
kids at movie theaters last week. I hope kids aren't watching this podcast. But anyway. So I want to hear, I know we've only seen it once. Both of us have only seen it once. It's still in theaters, I think, so I'm going to try to see it again. But Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So follows the character from the Shrek movies, Puss in Boots, played by Antonio Banderas, as he goes on a merry, jolly adventure through the wishing woods to get his wish granted by the last wishing star that falls from the sky and creates a big crater in the middle of this forest. And it's also a movie about confronting death and your own mortality and coming to peace with the fact that life isn't meaningful because you're alive, but it's because it all ends someday and we all die. So you cherish the time that you have on this planet. And also John Mulaney plays a villain who sticks his thumbs in pies. So it's a toss-up thematically. But I want to hear your first impressions, because we went to go see this together, having not seen the original Puss in Boots, which honestly I couldn't be bothered to watch until maybe after seeing this movie. But from what I've heard, and from our experience in the theater watching the second one, you don't necessarily need to watch the first Puss in Boots.
No.
So what'd you think?
I think I was with everyone else on the planet thinking, like, I don't give a shit. Who the fuck wants to see another Puss in Boots movie? like 11 years after the other one.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't give a shit. But you're like, oh, we gotta see it. I'm like, fine.
I did say that. Just like that.
So we went to go see it. And it was actually kind of really good.
Yeah, right?
It was objectively like a really damn good movie.
Yeah.
Like, I have not seen like the base Shreks in like probably like my entire lifetime ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. It's definitely up there with like the best ones.
Yeah. I honestly think this I've been seeing people talk about how this might be in the top 5 like DreamWorks animated movies of all time. Just all of the things that they've done. People really like the How to Train Your Dragon movies. People really like Shrek 2. I am people. I love Shrek 2. People like the Kung Fu Panda movies. But the fact that this one came out of the gate 11 years after the original, mind you, which ironically is what was that, less time than Avatar? Or did the first Avatar also... That was like 2009, right?
Yeah, it's probably like the same amount of time.
Yeah. Side note, I love all of the memes from the fact that Puss in Boots: The Last Wish and Avatar: The Way of Water were released at around the same time. And both movies came out much longer after their original entries came out. But both critically and audience-wise, Puss in Boots beat the Avatar sequel. So people have been dunking on Avatar ever since they found out that, you know, critic and audience ratings are like generally higher for Puss in Boots. And so you'll just see pictures of side by side. They'll have like you know, like the nerd versus Chad memes. They'll have there's recently been this meme format on TikTok where they'll show like the poster for a movie or a game or whatever, and then they'll have a little bracket, you know, in like the first 10% of the poster saying like, oh yeah, this is a fun kids movie, you know, and it looks really good. And then the next 90% is like this whole paragraph about how death comes for us all and we all have to come. Yeah. It's so the villain in this movie, spoilers, is who appears to be at first the big bad wolf, right? Because Shrek and its properties use a lot of fairy tale characters and stories and stuff. So you think going into this movie that the wolf with the toothed scythes that has red eyes and has to fight Puss in Boots, you think it's going to be the big bad wolf. No, it's death. It's a personification of the Grim Reaper, which makes the scythes even cooler because it's just, they're not scythes, they're sickles.
I mean, was it any like actual surprise? Like, of course it was death. I knew that from the beginning.
I did not figure that out from the beginning, but I did think that it was weird that conveniently the wolf showed up wherever Puss in Boots was. Like,
yeah, and he's on his last life. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so Puss in Boots has lost 8 of his lives, and he's on his last life. So his whole goal...
Which was a very good montage.
Yeah, in one of them, he's, like, super buff, and he's lifting weights, and he's like, what do you mean? I don't need someone to spot me. I'm Puss in Boots. And then the weight, like, crushes him, and he dies, and that's one of the ways that he dies.
Yeah.
In another one, he's drunk, and he's like, cats always land on their feet, and then he falls off of, like, a 50-story building. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great montage, but like there are so many things about this movie that should not be as good and well thought out as they are. Like, I didn't know until after the fact. So in the beginning sequence of the movie, he's fighting this forest giant set to an incredible theme song that's talking about how, he's this fearless hero and like he doesn't fear death because he's Puss in Boots, but really it's because he has 9 lives because he's a cat. But he's fighting this forest giant, and the movie takes cues from Into the Spider-Verse where they utilize this. It's this beautiful, like they draw, like all of the backdrops are so vibrant and colorful, and it looks like they're like paintings. And the characters on screen, they don't look super realistic like the other Shrek movies have done before, but they look more stylized and like softer. But during action scenes, the frame rate drops, and like it really emphasizes the action and the motion of certain characters. So the fight sequence between Puss in Boots and this forest giant are the fight sequence itself is very impressive. Technically, it's directed really well. It's animated really well. But there's also a bell that gets thrown around by the monster that apparently chimes 8 times, once for each time that Puss in Boots has died. And the last time that it chimes is when it falls on him, killing him for the 8th time. So I'm like, little things like that you go back to the movie after. That's why I can't stop thinking about it, because there's just so many aspects of Puss in Boots that stick with you. There's a scene where the dog, Perito, he finds Puss in Boots having a panic attack because obviously if you're confronting death and you know it's like the end for you, you start to freak out. And so Puss in Boots runs inside the forest that they're in and finds a little tree to like hide under. And the little dog, who early in the movie is like, yeah, I'm going to be a therapy dog. And he has like, it's played for laughs, but then like he goes up to Puss as he's having this panic attack and he just puts his little chin on Puss's stomach, and then Puss like starts to like pet him and like breathe slower, and like, I don't know. It's just moments like that like that really get you, especially if you're someone who deals with anxiety or has panic attacks, and like you have a pet that knows that can kind of like tell that you're not like. I never believed this when my mom used to tell me like in high school I would be sick or whatever, and then my dog would come up to me and be like super sweet, and she was like, oh yeah, it's because he knows you're sick. And I'm like, there's no way he knows I'm sick. But it just kept happening over and over again. And so I think pets do have this innate sense of like they can tell when another animal is like under the weather. I don't know. I could go on and on about this movie, but yeah, what'd you think of the cast, particularly John Mulaney as the villain, as fucking Jack? What's his face?
Little Jack
Warner.
Yeah, the thumb in the pie thing.
Yeah, Jack Horner.
Yeah, which I haven't. My God, how long has it been since I heard that like story? I was like, oh shit, I remember that one.
And they even play on that in the movie. Like,
yeah, he's like, no one knows who I am. I'm just this stupid asshole. And he was really good. I mean, the dog, I thought was going to be really annoying.
Yeah.
But then he wasn't.
Yeah.
And just like visually, it was really good. Especially every time they'd grab the map and like everything, like the world would change around them.
Yeah.
Or like the whole like mirror sequence when he's in the cave
with all of his past lives.
Yeah.
That's such a good scene.
Yeah. The dog thing, I think, was done really well too.
It was legitimately scary.
Every time the whistle, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I like the whistle sound.
It gives you chills a little bit. Well, and he shows up, and like you see his eyes first, and then you see the outlines of the sickles, and he never like runs up to someone. He's always just like walking slowly, and he's always just standing there menacingly. But yeah, I don't think a single part of this movie was handled poorly. I think, yeah, the score was great, the direction was great, the fight scenes. Who knew that there would be fight scenes in a Puss in Boots movie that I would be talking about and comparing in my head to like scenes from anime? Like, it's just like the clash between characters and the perspective shifts and the way that they draw these characters in motion. It's just impressive on almost every level. Like, it's the sequel to Puss in Boots should not be this good. It has no right being this good, but
it's just one of those rare instances. I mean, we haven't seen the original.
yeah.
Like, every now and again, a sequel comes along, and it's better than the original in every single way.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I think this might... Puss in Boots: The Last Wish might be a contender for one of the best animated movies that I've seen in the last, 5 years. Like, I think it's that good. And the general consensus among people on the internet that I watch and reviewers that I have seen videos of talking about this movie urge people who are watching the video to go see this in theaters, because that'll encourage DreamWorks to make more movies like this and hire people with inspired ideas. And this felt like a passion project. Like, it felt like there were genuinely people making this movie that weren't just trying to, make a movie for a cash grab, or make a movie that they knew would sell well because it's an animated movie and they were making it for kids. Like, granted, there are plenty of jokes in this movie that kids will laugh at and enjoy, but I feel like there's more to enjoy for adults or people who have had to confront death in one way or another. Like, there's a lot of trying to find comfort in knowing that even though we're all going to die someday, it's easy to dwell on that, but it's more important to focus on what you have in front of you and cherish that while you're here, rather than focus on, what all can I get done before I die? Like, what accomplishments can I, how do I make my life valuable? When really, life is precious and valuable, without having to do anything. It's just on its own, life is precious. So it's a really beautiful sentiment, and I'm not going to tear up talking about a fucking Puss in Boots movie, but I did tear up watching the movie. So go see it if you haven't. I know you can rent it from home. Did you think this was better than Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yes. Fuck that movie.
Yeah, which
genuinely, I hated that movie.
It may or may not win a lot of awards. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think it's time to move on to our next topic, because I've gossed on and on about this movie. With all that being said, about probably, if I had seen this in 2022, it would have been my favorite movie of 2022, but I missed it, and I watched it in the new year.
Still counts. It came out last year.
Yeah, it's my favorite movie of 2022. I'm going to amend my last comments about movies in 2022 where I didn't have any favorite because I couldn't, This blows Turning Red out of the water. I love Turning Red, but I think I like Puss in Boots more. So, talking about favorite things, right? We're talking The Sound of Music. Just kidding.
Fuck that, dude. I'm not watching that shit.
Will you at least listen to my favorite things? I think it's so weird.
I know that song.
It's so weird that became a jazz standard, and it came from a Julie Andrews musical.
Isn't it like a Christmas tune too?
Yeah, people have turned it into a Christmas movie or a Christmas.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Yeah.
When the balls drop.
New Year's, when the New Year ball drops.
Oh yeah. That's.
No, we're talking.
Man, I don't know the goddamn.
We're talking on David's list of top 10 albums of all time. You got some close contenders. If it was top 20, the list would have included these, but it didn't. It was top 10.
These are all the honorable mentions.
Yeah. So I wanted to take some time today to talk about those because, admittedly, I feel like I'm running out of albums to listen to. So if you can give me some recommendations based on you're
running out.
Honorable mentions. Yeah,
you can never run out.
So I'm running out of albums from artists that I know really well and I like. And recently my musical taste has been determined by singles and standalone songs that I've heard from albums that have popped on my Discover Weekly playlist on Spotify, and things of that nature. Very, very random selections. So with that, I want some inspiration. Give me a little bit of inspiration.
You're gonna know pretty much all of these already.
I don't think so.
But of course we have the first Tenacious D album. I mean,
self-titled.
Just such a great album.
Yeah.
Like so many great skits and quotable things.
Kielbasa is a good song.
And you can't even and then there's the songs that are actually really good. With Tribute and Wonder Boy and Friendship
and Karate.
Yeah, dude.
Karate's really good. I feel like, what's the City Hall one, or is that on Pick a Destiny?
That's the last one on this.
Yeah. I think that's the only song that I don't care too much for on the album. Granted, I haven't listened to it in a really long time, but I feel like...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these albums aren't perfect by any means.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't matter because there's enough good shit on there. So, where, I don't give a shit. Ghost and Meliora. There's 2 songs I don't like, but every other song is good enough where I can consider it, my favorite of their albums.
Yeah.
And one of my favorites.
Of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, we got the other familiars. We got In Ways and Trivium.
Yeah.
Just more Trivium shit that's really good. Rush, Moving Pictures. More Rush shit that's really good.
So albums from artists that were on your top 10, but you...
these are my favorite albums by these artists.
Yeah.
But I like other albums more, essentially.
You like those other albums because you feel like there's more of a mass appeal, or on a technical level you think they're more impressive?
I let me tell you, I couldn't give a shit about mass appeal. Because if I did, then of course Number the Beast would be my favorite Maiden album. Moving Pictures would be my favorite Rush album.
Yeah.
Fucking Nevermind's my favorite Nirvana album, even though it is.
Oh.
And it's also on this list.
On the honorable mentions?
Yes, because I think it's one of the perfect albums that exist out here.
Yeah, it really does all the way down. It hits really, really well. I admittedly, I haven't ever listened to Bleach all the way through. I think me and you listened to a little bit of Bleach. And then I watched Bleach, and I thought, Kurt Cobain wasn't a redhead, was he? And then he whipped out a big-ass sword and started calling himself a substitute Soul Reaper, and I thought, wow, this is going off the rails really quickly.
Ay Dios mío.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of Spanish in Bleach, actually. They call the land, one of the spirit worlds, they call Hueco Mundo. And the leaders of Hueco Mundo are the Espadas, and then...
Okay, Nick, we're not talking about some stupid-ass anime. We're talking about good stuff. Metallica Master of Puppets. Good stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah, that's good stuff. That definitely... Would you say Master of Puppets or the Black Album has more mass appeal?
It's Black Album, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, Sandman is, the most well-known song by them.
But I will say...
And
yeah.
Even... because they had, obviously they had the Master of Puppets scene in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And there were people I've never heard this. I've heard Enter Sandman, but never this. And it's crazy to think about that.
It is. Well, because to Metallica fans, Master of Puppets is, the quintessential Metallica album.
Yeah, that is, the GOAT song. Either that or One. It's one of those two.
Yeah, but...
Every other song is wrong.
I feel like One is also... That's a Guitar Hero thing. I feel like a lot of people, especially people our age, were introduced to that in Guitar Hero 3. Legends of
Yeah, but I mean, even before then, I think,
Yeah.
that was, their first music video. It got, the Grammy nom. I think, yeah, One is, one of these songs. And it inspired Tribute. So, it's all connected.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh.
The greatest song they've ever heard? They're talking about that song?
Yeah.
It was One. That's the song they heard.
It's not Stairway to
Jack
Heaven?
Black showed Kyle Gass one, and he was like, "That's the greatest song I ever heard," and thus tribute.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
I did not know that.
But yeah.
Incredible.
But ironically, neither Master of Puppets nor One are my favorite songs off those two respective albums. But we'll get into that soon.
We'll
oh
get
my
into
god.
that soon. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's, like I said, there's a shitload of these. Most recently, Tool's newest album, Fear Inoculum, which is like super, like people either love it or they fucking hate this thing.
Divisive.
But I love it.
Yeah.
Minus one song on it, like I think, because Danny Carey, the drummer, is just losing his mind on the whole thing.
He shaved his head too.
Yeah, he went psycho mode and shaved his head.
Yeah, the album cover is just a mugshot of him. It's just like, yeah.
But yeah, honestly, out of all these, I would recommend you that one.
The new Tool album?
Yeah, because I'm assuming you like jammy stuff, and that album is very jammy.
I do like jammy stuff. Last episode, I know I complained about long songs and albums that have songs that are like 7 minutes. But here's the thing. I think and maybe this was just conditioned into me as a music school student, but I feel like if you're going to have a song that long, you have to keep switching it up to make it interesting and really make use of all of that extra time that you... Because, like, live, I don't give a shit how long a song is live. Like, when you're in the moment and when you're in the crowd, like, making a song longer is so cool. Like, most of the time, because then you get to hear solos, you get to hear stuff that you wouldn't otherwise be able to hear on the album and blah, blah, blah. Like, when John Mayer plays a 10-minute long version of Gravity, you bet your ass I'm cheering the whole time. It's so good. But on a recorded album, it's a little different just because usually when I'm listening to, like, an album or a recording, I got somewhere to go. Like, I usually don't sit down and just listen to music in my spare time. It's usually while I'm doing something else. And that's why I think music is such a unique art form, especially compared to movies and TV and like video games, where you're kind of expected to sit there and pay attention, and that's part of the enjoyment. Whereas with music, you can enjoy it because it's an accessory to whatever you're doing. You know, it's like some people only listen to certain songs when they're working out because it hypes them the hell up. Or some people only listen to music when they're having sex, like Seabat.
What?
I'll tell you when you're older.
Oh my god.
So, with that being said, I feel like all music has sort of a place in people's lives, and it's subjective person to person. And for me, really long songs or extended cuts of songs work super well when they're live. But some artists, particularly like Metallica and like a lot of the classic metal artists that I listened to in middle school, I was like, yeah. They're making, especially like Orion. I don't know. Songs like Orion are like, I can't imagine this being any shorter. You know, like if it is any shorter, it might be like a minute shorter or whatever. But, so when it comes to like new artists and albums that are like super long, it takes a very special artist or band to really keep me excited. So, if you think I'll like the new Tool album, then I trust you.
Well, yeah, cool. Well, there's 7 songs.
Okay.
And minus one of them, which is just a drum solo. The shortest song is about 9 minutes.
Cool.
Or 7. No, I think Calling Voices. That's the one I don't like.
Yeah.
I think that one's like 7, but everything else is like 9, 10, 11 minutes.
Well, and Tool has been doing this for a long time, so I trust.
I mean, okay, occasionally there's like a super long one, but
Yeah.
this one, like especially, like they're all like super ass long songs. That's why I like them.
Yeah. Well,
Because they're just like fucking Tom fills the whole time. It's great.
You're the instrumental guy. I feel like that's the main difference in our two different style, like preferences when it comes to music is like you're a big instrumental, like proggy guy, and you like heavy stuff, and I'm for the most part like the shorter, like poppier, condensed, like it hits hard and really quickly kind of guy. And like I feel like we dip a little bit into each other's like preferences. Like I know After Hours was in your top 10, and that's a very like poppy, like shorter song, mostly vocal kind of record, which is something that you at least have told me that like you're not a huge fan of, like when there's like too many vocals,
Yeah.
whereas like I look at a song with a lot of vocals and it's like, oh, that is a really cool little line, or that's a cool word to like extend over this verse or whatever.
Yeah, because I mentioned this in my like 2022 albums ranked.
Yeah.
Because Russian Circles, which is an instrumental band, was pretty high up there.
Yeah.
I mentioned because vocals and lyrics to a lot or like pretty much everyone, they can really like ruin a song. But if you have just a couple of guys who just know how to play and jam, it's pretty hard to fuck that up.
Yeah.
And like, because I can't tell you how many times in these like rank your albums where the vocals just fucking tank an album for me. Like that In the Airplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that was
the vocal. Yeah, the vocals alone push that shit down to like the bottom 3.
Swags.
And even on this edition, there's a band that I like what they do instrumentally, but I hate the fucking vocalist so much, and it's like second to last.
Wow.
You take them out and boom, that shoots up to like top 10 or whatever.
Jeez.
So
yeah,
that's why I don't care for vocals as much, or like especially lyrics. I never pay attention to the lyrics.
Yeah.
Most of the time because I can't understand them anyway.
That's fair.
I have shit hearing.
Yeah, all the rock shows and in our old ages, our hearing has kind of tanked. But yeah, I think it also comes down to like the type of musicians that we are too. Like as a drummer, I'm sure you're super focused on the instrumental side of it because in rehearsals or whatever, like you're gonna be playing an instrumental instrument. Not to sound too redundant, but you're playing an instrument that doesn't necessarily have to really worry about the melody or the way that your instrument harmonizes with other parts. And as a singer, I try to pay attention to lyrics only because I like to find things in other songs that I want to like steal, like ways of describing a memory or ways of using wordplay in lyrics. I think that's really interesting for me. So it's sort of, I'm sort of like projecting on some of these songs because there are times as a songwriter where I write something and I'm like, there are too many words here, or like, I got to find a way to condense this and make it an efficient use of my song quota for, my lyric quota for the song. And so when I hear a song that utilizes lyrics very efficiently, I appreciate that a lot. Whereas, I don't know. But then again, some artists come around where it's like, yeah, dude, I fucking love when the drums go like, and they do that thing. And there's like a big band hit, like in Rope from Foo Fighters. My favorite part of that song has nothing to do with the lyrics. It's the solo part towards the end where like Taylor and Chris and Dave are like, they're trading fours and they're doing little fills and licks and stuff. It's so fucking cool. So not to go on a whole tangent as to why people like music. But I figured I don't know. I just, with the last episode, I felt unsatisfied with the way that I described the Devon album, because I really did like the Devon album. I really liked Lightwork. I haven't listened to Nightwork yet, but I feel like that's also an assignment that I'm going to give myself.
Yeah, you're in for a rude awakening with the first couple of tracks.
I'm excited. And I'm excited about Tool as well. Would you say it was called Luminary Cartillary Battery?
Yeah.
Carburary?
Yeah. Carbonated Battery. It's a good album.
What does Drax say in Guardians 2 where he's like Luminary Battery and Star-Lord's like, "No, that's not what I said at all."
I don't remember that part.
That's good. Yeah, so go watch David's top 10 albums of all time. See which artists and which albums made the cut, and stay tuned for a similar video from me. Spoiler alert. So anyway, you want to talk about Mass Effect?
Yeah, I can get into it a little bit.
Well, because you're the only one out of us that have played those games, let alone all three of the main trilogy.
Yeah, so my journey began a long, long ago. Actually, the first time I ever played it was when the third one came out. Jason, remember Jason?
I remember Jason.
He was just kind of like, yeah, like, what kind of games do you like to play or whatever? Mm-hmm. Like, do you like shooters? I was like, yeah, I like shooters. So then, he gave me let me play Mass Effect 3 for a bit, and I didn't think much of it. It was the only time I ever played it.
Yeah.
Until like 8 years later, or not 8, Jesus Christ, maybe like a couple of years later.
Something like that.
During the Calamity Matrix days, my old singer, we're still friends, but like,
yeah.
He was a huge Mass Effect fan. Like, that was his favorite thing at the time. So I was like, all right, I'll give this a shot. So I played the first one, beat it, and I was like, that was okay. But then I didn't think about it like for a while, and then I deleted my save. Because the cool thing about these games is you can import your character from the last one and then like continue it.
Okay.
So you like all your speech, because like you have to, like, they're called like Renegade and Paragon. It's like good and like bad basically.
Okay.
And you have to like speech check some things, and you can't unless you transferred your save.
Gotcha.
And like kept raising it up, But yeah, I deleted my original Mass Effect 1 save, and then I started 2. I had to make a new character, and that's how I learned, because I couldn't speech check like a certain point, and it got like one of my squad members killed, and I was upset.
Oh shit!
I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Because I couldn't fucking speech check it.
Yeah.
So then I beat the second one by itself, and then I was like, okay, I need to do all of them, like all 3. So I played all of them again, most recently, because they re-released them.
Yeah.
Like updated, whatever, Legendary Edition, on my computer. 50 hours for all 3 of them, and I finally finished. So 5 times I've beaten one of these games.
And what's the general consent? Do any of them go in your top 10 games of all time?
Not top 10, but if I was to like maybe extend it to 20, because the second one is like bar none the best one.
Okay.
That's the one I think everyone pretty much agrees has it all, because the first one is like kind of okay.
Yeah.
But it's really bogged down by like the stupid car you have to drive, and it's like much more open, and it's really not fun navigating these things.
Yeah.
And like trying to find where you have to go. It's just such a pain in the dick.
Ow.
But like the story is pretty good. Like the whole time you're trying to like prove that this one guy isn't who he says he is. So you're trying to find evidence to like bring him down, and that's all cool.
Yeah, like Mystery Inc. stuff.
Yeah,
Scooby
but
and the gang.
yeah, 2 is when shit gets like really good. That's when you bring in the elusive man, who is voiced, I can't remember his name, but he was the uncle in The Amazing Spider-Man.
Martin Sheen?
Uncle Ben. Yeah, Martin Sheen voices this guy.
Huh.
And yeah, he's really good. Seth Green voices Joker, which is like the guy who drives the ship
Oh, nice.
and everything. So there's like a couple like really like recognizable like voice actors.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2 has like all the RPG stuff. You have to re-find all your party members, and they all have their own like story you have to do to like get them loyal to you, and then they get like their powers, like the superpower or whatever.
Yeah. Power of friendship.
And it's also the way you save them, because if you don't gain their loyalty, they'll die at the end, which I found out the hard way because I couldn't fucking speech check one of them, and I was so goddamn upset.
So you let an innocent person die, then, is what you're saying.
I didn't let them. The game wouldn't let me save them. It wouldn't let me save them. Because, I didn't have enough Paragon. Fuck off, dude. But yeah, and then you get to the third one, and that one is much more combat focused. So like the other like 2 it kind of was, but like the third one, it's like combat takes center stage.
Gotcha.
And it's like the funnest to shoot in this one. Their heads actually blow off with the sniper. It's awesome.
Oh damn.
It's fun. It's fun to play.
Yeah.
But then the problem comes with like the story. And I'm sure you heard about the ending. How like Mass Effect 3 is like infamously probably like one of the worst endings to any game ever.
Yikes.
There's even like you remember the Ego Raptor video where he like teamed up with like where they like talking about how like the ending sucked, so they all made their own. Yeah, it's really bad. But they did like an extended cut or whatever, which they included in the Legendary Edition, and it still isn't that great. Oh, because the whole time it's like your choices really matter. Everything you do in the first 2 games, like you can like save people, or like you choose whether to save a whole race or let them die, and all that comes to play again later, which again like really elevates the game's replayability, I think. Yeah, because you can play in so many different ways. But by the end of the third game, none of that matters. It ends so abruptly and so like haphazardly, and it's so much worse than the original. It's crazy.
Damn.
Like, you literally get to like the ending, a couple of people die, and then like it like fucking like cuts to like credits basically. Like it ends so quickly. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then did Andromeda come after that?
Yeah, Andromeda was only like a couple years ago. So like I think 3 was 2010 or 2012, and Andromeda was like 2018 or something. So it was a while. I haven't played it, but my friend who was like really loves Mass Effect said like, you should play it, but don't, because it's like open world basically. Yeah. And he was like, ignore all that shit, just like do the story. So I might play it, but like Donkey really hates it. So.
Yeah, that's my only frame of reference is what Donkey thinks. Again, I haven't played the Mass Effect game, so I don't really have a whole lot of stake in what other people have to say about it. So I haven't gone out of my way to look up reviews. But if you like the first couple, maybe after Breath of the Wild, I can get into those. But
honestly, I'd say so, because it's a very story like based game. I like your companions. And the races, there's like so many different races, and like I said, you can choose to save one of them or fucking let them die. Yeah. And like, there's so much you can do about them. Can you bang? You can romance. Yes. You can romance.
Yes.
Which I did not do, because I honestly don't know how.
Well, first you gotta buy them a drink.
They say you gotta like talk to them, but I tried to talk to them and I didn't get any like, I don't know how to do it, so I didn't.
You don't have any Mass Effect Riz?
No. Son of a Shepherd did not have any.
Is that what you named your character?
Yeah.
Oh, well, because it's your name is Shepherd, right?
Yeah, your last name is you're Commander Shepherd.
So technically, you're Son of a Shepherd.
You choose your first name, so I said Son of a. So it was Son of a Shepherd.
That's really good. Yeah, I don't think anyone's allowed to play Mass Effect anymore. I think you did it. I think you did it. You had platonic relationships with all of your crewmates, and you had the best name. So good on you, man. Yeah, I mean, good space game, good RPG. I'm putting my hand in a sleeve of another hoodie in my closet, by the way. So that's why it looks like I'm attached to an elephant.
Yeah,
trunk.
and they're making a fifth one, and I don't know much about it, but like I don't know if they're ignoring Andromeda, and just like, trying to go back because you see, I guess one of your companions from the original 3 is like in that trailer.
Oh,
and I don't know if they show up in Andromeda, so they might be ditching that and like going back to, the one that everyone likes.
which would be interesting. But I feel like Andromeda followed a different character anyway, right?
It did, yeah.
So that might be for the best. I think BioWare needs to earn everyone's trust again.
Yeah, because it's space. It's like a whole universe. So like, there's so many. It's like Star Wars, It's like so many like stories you can tell.
Yeah, or it's like One Piece a little bit.
Yeah, but yeah, then we have fucking Starfield coming pretty soon, and that's another space fucking RPG.
Yeah, dude. Everyone wants to upgrade their characters in space. I don't get it.
So we'll see.
We'll see. But
good times.
Yeah, but good bedtimes.
Good times.
Good times. And it's also bedtime. Just kidding. It's 12:30 p.m.
Yeah, we're about to watch all 3 Back to the Futures.
Goddamn.
Because I think that's the only way you can watch them. Like kind of like Evil Dead,
I agree.
Like you have to watch all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Back to back.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. Maybe one of these days we can talk about Back to the Future. But for now, I think we got a pretty good thing going. I think we got a pretty good start to 2023, and maybe even soon, we'll fall in love in 2023 or with 2023. Not my lights being pink like hearts. So
I'm already in love. Tears of the Kingdom is coming out this year. I'm gonna fucking shit my pants.
It's gonna be a good year, folks. This is gonna be the year. So stay tuned to see what else we end up talking about and how our lives and our love lives with 2023 develop. But until then, I'm Nick Scarpinato.
David Kabushigars.
And we will see you in episode 25.
Woohoo!
All right.